How we doing, guys? Welcome back to my Croup Manor serial killer house. I said I wasn't going to come back here because I fucking hated it so much, but yeah, I thought I'd do a daytime tour, just so you can sort of see it in proper lighting, and obviously do a little bit of a full commentary, so you can sort of hear the behind the scenes and how I did certain things. But yeah, it's been a real nightmare, this one, and I've had to lots of reload this about 10 times because it just keeps dropping frame rates. I hope it just stays stable now. Please play a nice house. So yeah, it looks a bit different in the daytime. It's not as anywhere near as sinister or atmospheric. The lighting is the main thing, so I kind of want you to see how it looks without all the lighting effects. All these little body parts I just mentioned, this is all to do with what's it called, Freemaker. So I used Freemaker to spawn Raider NPCs in, and literally just killed them. So effectively I was a serial killer, just killing raider after raider, and then spreading all their body parts around. Now I don't know if this is what actually caused the lag, because I'm not sure if the game sees each part as an item in the settlement. I don't know, but yeah, it's like it's quite stable now, but yeah, it's normally terrible. The strobe lights are actually in the ceiling there underneath that bit of debris. I wanted it to kind of like have like a lightning effect, like flashing, so that when you look around, so you get glimpses of what's in the room as it lights up. Because I did film this through a storm as well, so it's kind of like sort of tie into that effect. Again, well, these are actual items in unlocked settlement objects, but that is another NPC, obviously. So there was more blood splatter as well on the floor here. I tried to kill the raiders sort of where I wanted the bodies, so that the blood was on the floor, but again, some weird stuff happens in this house and shit just vanishes. As you can see, it's all kind of sparsely decorated, really. I didn't decorate the areas that wasn't going to be shown or was going to be in the dark, so mainly to keep the frame rate down anyway, but just no point showing it because I knew how it was going to look at night time. So the kitchen is full of bodies. This again is probably, I mean, if you think of all those little items, I suppose it's a no-brainer why it lags. So I just kind of like spawn NPCs in, kill them in the spots I wanted them, tried to get them like so that it sprays blood everywhere. It's quite a good effect, but again, it looks much better at night. It doesn't even look like anything here. It doesn't look half as sinister. That blood on the counter, that's actually, I think it's the super mutant chest. I've just sunk two of them in the counters. Obviously you can see the square lines of it now, but at night that kind of blends and you don't see it, so it just looks like there's all blood and goo on the counter. So yeah, I was quite happy with the kitchen. I did actually was about to do stuff downstairs, but just didn't bother in the end because it was just doing my head in. I really hated this build. It was just so problematic. The body's like, I mean, the body's always moved. She's moved, as you can see. That wasn't. She was like a, sort of in line with the knife when he stabs her down. Like she was getting stabbed in the chest, so she's moved. And every time you load the game up, they just move. I don't know why. The game doesn't quite save the bodies in the position they were originally in. She did have a nice little like weird effect on her, because when you're trying to line these things up, they're a fucking nightmare. They're ragdoll, so they bounce about, but she was twitching about like normal, trying to spaz into position, but it looked like she was alive, and I was really happy with so I just kind of left her like twitching, although she didn't do it on the fucking video, bitch. but yeah, so the bodies I think are half the problem in this build the whole time, just causing loads of glitches. Just so to know, I'm not a devil worshipper. I'm not a fucking, like, basically I had to look up this pentagram. I didn't know how to draw a pentagram, so yeah, like I just knew that I wanted some kind of like culty type satanic worship thing in the build, so I had to look that up. Incidentally, she was another one that just messed up all the time. Every time I stood her up, she just kept falling over and fucking. In the end, I just left her in that position. I quite like her like that now, but the amount of weird things that happened on this build was ridiculous. Every time I put her back up, I'd load up, she'd be broken on the floor again, looking like that. Nightmare. Yeah, so the skulls I didn't actually fill the bathtub with skulls, although I probably should have. It would have been a lot easier. I just use there's a layer of invisible rugs basically in the bath, and the skulls are sat on top of that. If you look, you can see there's gaps, like you can see in between. So yeah, there's still about 100 skulls there around about, but yeah, it would have been a lot more, probably about 300 to fill the bathtub, which would have been even more lag. So this body's actually is another unlocked settlement one. So that's an actual item, and the knives are done with Make Static mod by Tim Man. You can sort of drop any item and you can set it in place so it doesn't move. So, but if you line the item up in your Pip-Boy and don't drop it, it'll just hover wherever you press the Make Static button. So I just did that with a bunch of knives and then glitched the body into it basically. I've been told by another method today, which I might use in future builds. It's much easier than that, but yeah, I didn't know that until recently. I had little backstories as actually for these victims. Like the killer's obviously a complete psychopath, but he's got hate issues on certain types of things. So he hates news reporters. He hates the news. So she was a reporter, and he stuck her head in a printing press. This woman, he again hates smokers, and she was a heavy smoker. Probably something to do with his mom, I don't know. But yeah, so he killed her and tortured her with cigarettes. This guy, although the serial killer doesn't mind killing and maiming and chopping people up, he hates cruelty to animals, and this guy was a fisherman, so yeah, he's got like Far Harbour fishing hooks he's strung him up with. Yeah, so I just had to have little stories. It helped building it basically because each area's got like a tiny little set piece to it, and I wanted to have some reason why they were in the positions they were in. These fucking bones. Balancing these on here was a nightmare. You can't even really see them very clear in the video when they actually go around because it's so dark. But yeah, again, I kind of had this idea that he'd decorate his house with body parts like little trophies. So I just thought it'd be cool to go up the stairs with the banister with the bones. These two have moved again, so that they were sitting upright. I wanted them to look almost like they were just alive, kind of watching. Although obviously clearly they were dead, but again, the killer kind of like puts his victims in poses. I did have a much more fucked up scenario, which I changed at the last minute just because I thought it was just too weird. And so I basically had this guy sat up, and this guy was on his knees in front of him, giving him a blowjob basically. And I just thought it just looked too fucking sick, so I changed that and went with the woman. But although just getting this actually was a pain because again I had to spawn these in, and I don't know if you know, but you cannot put clothes on dead bodies. Once you take the clothes off, that's it. So, and I wanted like GIMP looking masks and stuff on them, so I had to keep spawning until I found ones with masks on, and then obviously strip them off, just leaving the masks on, and then put them in position. This guy, the little backstory behind him was that again he hates cruelty to animals, and he was a trader. And the killer thinks that it's cruel to have the Brahmin loaded up with loads of stuff, so he killed the trader and put the Brahmin out of its misery. And yeah, again that's moved. That was lined up. The Brahmin's head was like sort of attached to his head, but the body's moved when I've loaded again. And well, these paintings, I don't know. I just thought they looked freaky. Along with the teddy bears with knives stuck in it. And I imagine maybe they were like the former owners or something, and I just thought blocking out their eyes and stuff would look weird. So so this room, again, I don't know. The story behind this is a bit weird. So first of all, I used a ghoul to make the body look burnt because obviously the normal body just doesn't burn. So I thought that looked like it was being burnt to a crisp, so I put the ghoul there. So this was that's his wife. This guy is alive. He's just stuck in the stocks. He's just a settler. So yeah, he's had to watch his wife die and burn, and he's next basically. And I don't know. Again, I kind of had a thing that was they were farmers basically, and all these animals were their stocks. I think he thinks it's cruel. So he's like, well, look what you've done. You know, you're killing your farm animals for livestock. I'll fucking kill you. So yeah, basically he does that to punish them, and then he films it all on a camera as he's sick and twisted. The writing on the bones I got from an idea from basically a great builder, Martin. I'll put a link actually to his Wasteland City in my description for this, because it is a really fantastic build, and he got the signs written in bones, so kind of like I pretty much stole that idea from there. I did try and do it with body parts originally, but it just wasn't working. The bones are much easier to work with, plus they look way better. But yeah, that's definitely a shout out to him for that idea. And the mannequins just in the window, I just thought it looked weird. You know, like they're kind of like the pack sort of raiders. They've got these weird animal masks and shit, and I just thought they looked freaky. And it goes hand in hand with the ones downstairs by the pentagram that they're all kind of watching on, sort of judging, and I don't know, just looks creepy basically. So I thought that was a cool scenario. I'm pretty much inspired by things like obviously Seven, you know, like the different victims and what they've done, being punished for their so-called sins. Or definitely things like Psycho, just anything that has got kind of like the atmosphere to it. I suppose Alien to a degree, with the flashing lights, you know, the strobe effects where you just get glimpses of the whole room. And that was part of the, you know, trying to recreate the look of all that really. But in general, I mean, just I suppose I come up with this stuff. I was surprised myself really about how twisted my mind can be. It's a bit fucked up really, but yeah, I just thought I'd give you a little rundown, a little backstory. I'd love to make this into like a little quest. If I had any idea how to do mods, I'd definitely put like a sort of quest in this, because it'd be cool to sort of go around and maybe like try and catch the killer, or I don't know, follow little clues of what he's been doing from his victims, that kind of shit. But yeah, I thought that would be awesome. If anybody can do that, then let me know if you can sort of port it out somehow. I'm on PS4 though, so I don't even know if it's possible to get settlements out of PS4. As you can see from the front, nothing changed really. I boarded the whole house up, so it looks really shit. I've deleted everything outside, all the scrap, just to try and keep it as sort of, you know, smooth as possible. It just didn't help. I don't know how come it's smooth now. It really is random. Sometimes I'm not joking, the frames per second is like 1. It's like a little frame by frame thing. It's terrible. That seat was just for me to wait so I could get it dark again all the time. I did put little candles in these lanterns, but you didn't even see that in the video, probably it was so dark. Anyway, I'll really never come back here again now. That's it. Fuck this house. I hate it. But I hope you liked the little tour, and I hope you enjoyed sort of seeing it in the day. Please, you know, like watch it again in the dark, because that's how I wanted it to be seen anyway. It is sort of meant to be atmospheric. You're not really meant to be able to see very clearly. That's kind of the point. You're only meant to be able to see little glimpses of what I was showing. So yeah, like sort of let me know what you think about the daytime view though, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.